A few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with a transformation leader at a Fortune 500 company, and their organization is going through a major business transformation at the moment. And I was asking him how things were going. He told me that one of the things that really struck him, having been fairly new joining the company, was how passive most people were in the face of the transformation. So instead of jumping up and eagerly moving forward with the transformation that was supposed to help improve things at the company, many people were just sort of waiting around for what to be told to do. They weren't pitching in and suggesting ideas. They were just kind of being passive. And what I found really interesting about this was that it lines up with what I've found in my research and also, some of the things that I've seen in my own experience in working in transformation at a variety of different companies. More often than not, the typical response for most people is to be passive when they're faced with a brand new transformation effort. A lot of times this can be really frustrating for change agents and especially for executives who might be leading a transformation initiative where it's important to make some progress quickly and where we feel a great sense of urgency in getting things to move forward. But I think it's important to remember before we get frustrated with the people who are behaving in a passive way to look at what leads to this kind of behavior. So in many cases, having a passive response is a learned behavior to past transformation efforts or changes that maybe didn't work out so well, or where people who pushed heavily in one direction or another might have found themselves out of work or out of favor after taking an impassioned stance one way or another. So staying passive, kind of keeping your head down, can be a strategy for a lot of folks to keep their jobs and to just keep moving forward. Another reason why people, will stay passive is they may have just different concerns. So they may be focused on the everyday kind of work. They're not really concerned with the big picture, which might be where we see the need for transformation. So this might just be a issue of focus and where we're putting our attention. The other piece is, a lot of times that people who are expecting to change or to move forward enthusiastically with a change have access to different information than we do. So if we're leading change at the top, there's perhaps information that we see about what the company's situation is or something in a larger or external environment that may not have been communicated clearly or even shared broadly with a wider group of people that we're expecting to jump up and excitedly change. So that can certainly result in a lack of urgency or just a passive stance towards whatever change is coming forward. So, if we know that, if we can accept that passivity is part of the normal change landscape, and if we don't try to change that, if instead we accept that most people in any given change will react to the change circumstance with a passive perspective, how does that affect your strategy? So this was the question I was putting back to the transformation executives. If you can accept that most people are passive, rather than expecting them to change their position, how do you change your approach? So that leads to some interesting questions, right? If we stop trying to change the people, what do we do instead? I'll be sharing some thoughts about this in the next video. Go ahead and stay tuned for that, and we'll be back later.